It's Hot Air podcast time with me, Macca, and my good mate Mahona. And mate, did you see that game of rugby yesterday? Crusaders.
What game of rugby? Nah. Was the rugby on? No. Listen, mate, we're used to it up here. We're used to getting beaten by you lot. We got beaten again yesterday at the Garden of Eden. But I'm just so used to it. Look, I'm happy to be bridesmaid yet again, mate. Looks like it, doesn't it? The Crusaders were just so clinical, weren't they, Mecca? Just
Absolutely.
so clinical.
Absolutely. We'll talk a bit more in depth about that a bit later on. But
Of course, you're wearing the jersey just to remind me too, aren't you, mate?
Today. I've got a bloody cold sore on my lip from kissing everybody I could find around Greytown after the great result. So we haven't even had a shave this morning. That's how exciting.
Go put your ointment on.
Quite right. Anyway, straight into it this week. We'll kick off with football. Many commentators in the game are calling for linesmen to stop delaying raising their flag. I mean, we've spoken about this before, but last week there was Mohamed Salah was obviously offside, but the linesman didn't raise his flag, and Connor Cody ended up knocking out his own goalkeeper, Rui Patricio, after the ball was in the net.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous, isn't it,
mate? We've been saying it all the time. Why don't they raise their flags if they're offside? Just raise it. I mean, I know what they do with the VAR. They say, okay, we're just going to not raise it because we'll let play on and then we'll check it. But if what is the point? If they're miles offside and they can see them offside, what is the point of letting it go to VAR when they know what the result's going to be? It's once again, it's taking the judgment away from the officials on the field, giving the responsibility to someone else, and letting them think that they don't have to make a decision. It's just bollocks. It's what it is. It's just crap. And you know, players getting injured is one thing, but the other thing is just people going missing all over the field, mate. You know, it's like I just don't. It's play that shouldn't exist. I've seen play go on and on and on, and then they, you know, for 30 seconds or so, and then they stop it. Then they go back and check it, and that 30 seconds is just lost. So, I don't know. Once again, we get back to stopping the clock and all that sort of thing. Can the officials just make a decision on the field? I'm happy to go by their decision. You know, most of the time they get it right, and if they get it wrong, well, can't they wind it back anyway if they get it wrong?
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? I mean, that play went on for 6 or 7 seconds, but as you say, play has gone on for anything up to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so that time just gets lost. Does the referee add it on at injury time? Probably not, because he's probably forgotten about it by then.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's all unseen and unread.
It's time that the game's lost. Just as we've said about it before, the refereeing officials are trying to make the game absolutely 100% perfect. And that's why fans love sport. They love it because of all the stuff that we can talk about during the week in between games. It keeps us going until the next weekend's games comes around. So I'm still say let's get rid of most of VAR. It's only offside if it's really obvious. Come on, let's just go back to what it was.
Mate. Yeah, exactly. Keep the goal line technology. That worked.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time. I mean, I've seen the odd one where it doesn't work, but keep that. The offsides is one where I'm just happy now. We've gone so far. I'm just happy for the officials to make a call. Yeah. I mean, it used to be the attacking team got the advantage. Now it's not. You know, it's effectively the defending team gets the advantage now, because if it's a millimeter and it's from your shoulder, it's offside. It's just we've already, without the crowds and all that sort of thing, it's hard to stay passionate for the game. You can see some of the players struggling, and let alone with all this VAR stuff chucked on top of it, mate. It's making me fall out of love with the game, and I love football. You know,
in the Leeds versus Fulham game, Luke Ayling scored his first ever Premier League goal. And he took his hair out and let it down and played.
That's right.
And did his great celebration. And then 30 seconds later, it turned out the goal was disallowed.
Yeah. And the time was never. And the same thing happened with the Phoenix. Hamed scored that fantastic goal. And Turns out his shoulder was offside when the guy's foot was behind it by the look of it. I couldn't work that one out. And once again, we celebrated, and they just started the game again 3 minutes after the celebrations in the VAR. And I don't know. It's just not the same game. It's like I say, it's making me fall out of love with the game. Get rid of it.
Quite right.
Will they?
A few weeks ago, we were moaning about the lack of a break for teams at the moment. And currently, Liverpool are in the middle of the 3-week break. So they're all off on holiday and having a few drinks and having a bit of a rah-rah time. So, due to because they had the FA Cup quarterfinals over the weekend and there's an international break this week. So more chances for players to get injured. And is this the opportunity, though, now for Klopp to start fresh when they visit the Emirates to play Arsenal over Easter?
Yeah, well, this is interesting, mate. You and I were talking earlier about our predicament, whether Liverpool can make it through the European spots. They can, but what they need is basically to go on a run and some of those top 4 teams to sort of fall over a little bit. You're obviously a big believer that Leicester will do that. You don't seem to back them at all. You just seem to say, they do it every year. I'm not so confident they will fall over, but I hope someone does. I don't know. It depends whether Klopp prioritises the Champions League over the Premier League, and that is a way for us to get back into the Champions League. If we win the Champions League this year, we're slowly, it looks like we're playing our best football in the Champions League. Whether that's got anything to do with the refereeing and the VAR, we'll stay away from that for right now. But it seems like we're playing well in the Champions League. Does he prioritise, put his best players in that basket? Because basically, if we win 5 matches, well, we don't actually have to win them all, do we? But if we win 5 matches, we're Champions League champions again. So I don't know, mate. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think we prioritise the Champions League, or do you think we still play strong teams in the Premier League?
I just think with this break that we've got now, take a great chance to recharge the batteries and just call it a mini season. You know, only really got April and May left to go. So all guns blazing for 2 months. Even if you are playing 2 games a week, I just think strongest side possible every game, and just hope that some of those other teams like Leicester fall over.
And hope that we get a few players back. Looks like we're getting a few players back too. So whether we get Van Dijk or Gomez back before the end of the season is a moot point, probably not. But Kabak's an interesting one. Would you keep him?
Oh, absolutely. I'm signing him as soon as the transfer window opens. He's been couple of dodgy games to start with, but I think he's really finding his feet. And him and Phillips are performing a great partnership at centre back. Nathaniel Phillips, he's just turned 24. Happy birthday, Nathaniel! Today.
He looks about 40, though.
Yeah, he does look about 40. He plays like a good old-fashioned centre back.
He does.
I think I read somewhere where at training he just goes and heads a brick wall for half an hour just to practice his heading.
Yeah, he's a cross between sort of Jamie Carragher and Phil Thompson sort of thing. He's just like, there's the ball, I'm going to go hit it, and I don't care who's in the way. And shit, we've needed that this season, mate. We've needed that. And who would have backed him to do the job he's done, you know? And it's just great to see that guys from those lower leagues and from our youth development and all the way, you know, that have gone out on loan can come back and play a role, even if it is due to injury. I mean, even when we get all our players back, he's going to be a real handy addition to the squad to have, you know, to cover for injury and to be on the bench. And Kabak, I mean, he's only 20, man. I mean, central defenders don't really mature till mid-20s, late 20s, 28. So he's got a long time before he's going to reach his potential. So those two, I would definitely sign Kabak as well. We haven't seen the new guy yet, have we? Ben Davis from. And obviously he's struggled to adjust a little bit because he's come from the championship. But I don't know. Those two clean sheets the last couple of games look like they're forming a really great partnership in central defence. And and getting some other players back in the midfield. And Firmino's out at the moment, but I think he's not too far away as well. Yeah. Jota's looking like he's definitely adding something to our game, isn't he?
In the 3 or 4 games he's been back. So, a great start from him. He's on fire.
Yeah, so things are looking up. But we've said that before.
Yeah, not so much looking up for fullback Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's been dropped by your good friend Gareth Southgate from the for poor form. Do you reckon Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, and Reece James are the answer for England? I mean, I don't really care, to be perfectly honest, but I feel I was going to say Trent, and he's got more goals and assists this season than the three of them combined.
Yeah, I was going to say for Liverpool, it's great news. He doesn't need to be playing for England, but he's definitely better than Trippier, if you ask me. I mean, Kyle Walker's a good player. He's fast. He's got pace, but he's sort of a bit of a one-trick pony. He just runs up and down. I mean, Trent hasn't been on his top form, sure, for the season, but I think he's improved drastically in the last sort of half a dozen games. So once again, it's Gareth Southgate being the cautious man that he is, and he's just. Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, it's like how he hesitated to pick Grealish for so bloody long until he just couldn't refuse to pick him again. He just seems to always err on the side of caution, and that's just typical of an England coach, isn't it? Really, I mean,
yeah, especially one that missed a penalty in an important England international.
yeah, he's no psychopath, is he?
Yeah, certainly not. No. Semi-finalists have now been found in the FA Cup with a big blockbuster Chelsea to play Manchester City in one, while Leicester City will face Southampton in the other. In the quarterfinals over the weekend, the Saints beat Bournemouth 3-0. City overcame a stubborn Everton 2-0. That was not a bad game, actually. Everton held on for long periods and, in fact, could have scored before City actually did. So that was 2-0 to City. Chelsea accounted for Sheffield United by the same score. And this morning, poor old Man United got beaten by Leicester. 3-1. Oh, hard luck.
Brendan Rodgers, does it again. Masterstroke from the man. Manchester United. They flatter to deceive, don't they, mate? They haven't won anything for so long. They love laughing at us, but they haven't won anything for so bloody long, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
So, keep on laughing. We'll see how you go at the end of the season. They just seem to, at those times, at those crucial moments, they just seem to fall over, and it's so sad to see. A little bit like Spurs. Are we going to get onto that? Are we going to talk about that? That's our next topic. Oh my God. Okay, if we think Manchester United have dropped their bundle, well, let's wait until we get onto Spurs in the Champions League. My God, hilarious. So what do we got? What do we got in those semi-finals, mate? Have they done the draw for that yet?
Yeah. Chelsea playing Man City and Leicester playing Southampton.
Leicester-Southampton, that's an interesting game. We know what happened in that game about a year ago, don't we? 9-0, wasn't it? Chelsea looking strong, aren't they, mate? With Thomas Tuchel,
they a lot of goals, but they're not conceding.
No, exactly. They've really tightened up at the back, and they're playing a real structured football. And Werner looks like he's starting to hit his straps, and that was my big fear for Chelsea, that he was going to start scoring some goals. And Havertz looks like he's getting a bit more playtime as well. So, yeah, Chelsea, man, they're a bit of a worry for me. But let's just hope they get knocked out in the Champions League.
Yes, anyway, talking about getting knocked out, a disastrous exit for Spurs in the Europa League has manager Jose Mourinho in the spotlight again, with the Daily Mail now calling him a dinosaur in a designer coat. How's that? After the capitulation to Dynamo Zagreb, after they led the two-legged tie 2-0 after the first leg. Oh, they were awful.
It's so Spursy, 2-0. We'll play a sort of a B-plus team. We won't play our full team. Then they go down 3-0. The guy gets a hat-trick, a bloody good hat-trick too.
Yeah.
And goes to extra time, so they have to play an extra half an hour. Gareth Bale hits the post. They just could not score. And afterwards, Jose just said, my players were awful. They were unprofessional. And apparently he didn't give them a team talk afterwards. He walked out. So Jose started to attack his own players. We've seen it all before. It generally comes in the third year. What's he in? Yep. 2 years? Second year?
This is only the second year.
So it's happening a little bit quicker than we thought. But the Mourinho meltdown is well underway, mate. And Tottenham, is Harry Kane going to be there next year? I doubt it.
Doubt it very much, especially if Mourinho's still there. But I don't think Daniel Levy will suffer this for too much longer.
No, I don't think so, mate. I mean, it just doesn't look like he's got answers. The thing is with them, they do. flattered to deceive Spurs, didn't they? They went on a run where they won like 7 or 8 games in a row. But you look at the teams they beat. You know, it was like Dynamo Zagreb and a bunch of other sort of smaller, lower end teams. They haven't really won any big games, you know?
Yeah.
And then everyone started going, oh, he's turning them around. But the style of football is bloody awful too, you know? It's why don't you just let the reins off with Harry and Bale and Son up front? Just let those 3 go for it. But it just seems like, I don't know. It's just so typical Mourinho.
Yeah, so on a brighter note for Spurs, they did have a 2-0 win over Aston Villa this morning. So, with Carlos Vinicius and Harry Kane scoring from the spot. So, better news for Spurs this morning.
In the league.
But Villa are in the middle of a horrendous run. Starting to drop down the table, but not as bad as Newcastle at the moment. They got thrashed 3-0 over the weekend by Brighton and are just 2 points ahead of Fulham in the relegation zone. So West Brom and Sheffield United pretty much look done and dusted.
They are.
But yeah, Fulham, they've been going great guns. And as I say, they're only 2 points behind Newcastle now. Newcastle just looking awful. And
Steve Bruce got no idea, mate.
He's been given the tick of approval by Chairman Mike Ashley, so he'll be.
So he's gone then.
3 weeks.
And Scotty Parker's got Fulham playing well, man. I mean, I saw them play against Leeds. They didn't play that well against Leeds. Leeds are a great team to watch. The final game of the season, of course, is in Newcastle versus Fulham at Craven Cottage. I can see Fulham winning that and getting out of the bottom 3 and Newcastle being relegated. That's the way it's looking at the moment. I just don't think Steve Bruce has got any answers, to be fair, and he's missing a whole bunch of guys up front. Don't look like they can score goals. I mean, I've always liked Newcastle. You know, I've always liked Newcastle.
They've always, they're a lot of people's second
team. Yeah. But the way they're playing, they're just so hard to like. I mean, I used to hate Leeds, but the way they play, they're a great watch. You know, you want to watch them play football. But Newcastle they're just so stodgy, and you know, they're just a reflection of who their manager is, really.
Yeah. And the championship, Norwich continue to lead the way, although their 10-point lead's been cut into with a couple of draws recently. They're on 83. Watford have moved up into the second automatic spot. They're on 75, with Brentford having dropped points in the last 2 or 3 games. They're in 4th. Swansea, Kerry Jones will be loving that. Swansea sitting in 3rd. 6 points behind Watford with a game in hand, so they could close that. With Barnsley and Reading, the other 2 teams in the playoff spots, with Bournemouth and Cardiff having dropped out of those spots. So interesting in the championship. Norwich looks set to finish first. I think they'll come through. I mean,
the thing with Norwich, man, they kept their manager. You know, they kept Daniel Farker. He's a very softly-spoken man. Strange sort of guy, eh? But they kept
German.
He's very softly spoken.
Well, it sounded Irish.
But they kept their manager. They got relegated. They kept him. They win again, and now it looks like they're going to get promoted. Sheffield United, they've just sacked Chris Wilder. I mean, did he leave on mutual? One of those mutual consent things. Yeah. I mean, he is Mr. Sheffield United. And then they go and lose 5-0 or 4-0 the next game. I just think that's just an absolutely crazy nuts decision, you know. He brought them up from the 3rd division. I mean, it's effectively Division 2. And all the way to the Premier League. They did so well last year. He knows the club inside and out. Obviously, the players love him. They've never been thrashed all season. They sack him, they get thrashed. It's like obvious, you know, what he brings. I just cannot believe that decision. It's so short-sighted. It's so typical of English football clubs, just so quick to pull the trigger when things aren't going right. Man, he could have easily brought them up again next year. They could have gone again like Norwich, but once again, short-sightedness. And Daniel Farker, good manager and a good thing for the way that you run your club, you know. Keep it on the straight and narrow and go again, you know.
Yeah, quite right. On this side of the world, the Phoenix gets stung again.
Oh, bro.
Australian referee and VAR. How obvious was that handball against Brisbane yesterday?
Oh, last night. Oh, dude. That was ridiculous. And and Ufuk Talay going absolutely spare on the sideline. And fair enough. I mean,
absolutely.
First of all, the guy that kicked it into him was his own player.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like we wellied it at him. It was like the guy that kicked it into him was his own player. Next thing, they said, oh, maybe it was vicinity. I completely understand and I completely agree with when the ball's just whacked at someone's arm and they're down by their side and it hits their arm, that it shouldn't be a penalty. But this one must have traveled at least 2 or 3 meters, and his arm went out to the ball.
Yeah.
You know, and actually his arm wasn't down by his side. It went out to the ball. The referee was just, I think he was intimidated. I really do. I think the lack of crowds last year, I don't know whether they just seem like they're scared or something to make a decision. But then it got checked. Then they said it wasn't going to get checked by VAR. Then they check it, and then they say there's nothing. I mean, and the commentators, you know, because they're Australian. Oh, well, it might have been, but anyway, move on. It's 1-1. It's like, fuck. Oh, and I honestly thought Ufuk Talay was going to slot their coach or someone at the end of the game, and I don't know. I would have been right behind him.
Injury, didn't it? After David Ball earlier and was pulled up. That was pulled up for a innocuous, unintentional handball. They've got to change that. It's ridiculous.
Well, it comes down to balls from the official, though. I mean, you've just got to say, yeah, I saw it hit the arm. It's a penalty. You know. Just make a decision. He deliberately didn't make a decision because he knew it was going to go upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, that's why he didn't. If it had been in the old days, he would have made a call. He would have said that's a handball, but just doesn't have the balls, mate. So yeah, they got robbed. And the game before that, I felt so sorry for them as well. The 4-3. I mean, they were their own worst enemy a little bit, but man, they're playing some good football, though, aren't they? They're playing some
very good football.
It's good to watch. I like watching the Phoenix. They're like Leeds, you know? They are like Leeds. They pop it. They have so much energy all over the place. Great to watch. So here, the Phoenix have only picked up 1 point now after scoring 6 goals in 2 games and 1 point.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But
they, on a better note, marquee signing Tomar Hamid has scored 2 goals in his last 2 games.
3.
He's good. 3. 2 that counted anyway. And Phoenix currently sitting 10th on 12 points. They're 6 points outside the playoff places. Central Coast Mariners leading the way on 25. Western Sydney Wanderers, then followed by Adelaide, Macarthur, Melbourne City, and Sydney City, with Melbourne Victory still bottom. That's unbelievable.
It is.
Players they've signed, but that's actually next up for the Phoenix. They play on Wednesday night, so
I wonder how they'll rob us in that one.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll find a way.
They will. They'll say, the Victory need a win. Well, we'll get them a win. Yeah, it's just sickening, mate. They do it in all our competitions, don't they?
Yeah.
Bloody Aussies.
Quite right. Take us away in the cricket, son.
Okay, the Black Caps continue their hot summer, mate. They had a bloody good win against Bangladesh. I actually forgot it was on, and then I heard on the radio it was on, switched across to Spark Sport, and it was nearly over. They were only needed 21.2 overs to overhaul the Tigers' paltry 131. They were very defensive as well. Martin Guptill got the team off to a flyer with 38 from 19 balls, and Henry Nichols played the ankle role, finishing on an unbeaten 49. What did you make of the game? Wasn't much of one, really.
Pretty much went as expected. As you say, the Bangladeshis just couldn't get into their stride when they were batting first. And some great bowling from Trent Bolt. He picked up 4 And Kyle Jamieson, although he was expensive early, he bowled pretty well as well and regained some form after a patchy T20 series. But good performances all round. I thought Devon Conway played his ODI, got 20 odd, and Will Young finished the game off with 11 not out. So next game's tomorrow,
Tuesday. Yep. Where is it? I can't remember where it is. I think so.
Yeah. And then they play the third one in Wellington on Friday before yet another T20 series.
Oh God, we need more T20s. But yeah, man, I thought they did well. Trent Bolt was the standout performer with the ball. Took away 4 wickets. Quite interesting how he raises his game when Southey isn't in the team. He really took the bull by the horns and said, right, I'm the main man here. And he bowled probably the best he's bowled all season, I think. The poor old Bangladeshis, though, mate, what do you think? Are we expecting them to offer much resistance in the rest of the series, or you think this is going to continue to be a one-way
No,
ticket?
I think it'll be pretty much one-way traffic. I mean, and that's not just downplaying the Bangladesh team. I just think the Black Caps are playing some really good cricket at the moment, and have done all summer. Right from that series with the West Indies before Christmas. I think they've just been nailed on, playing some really good cricket, and disposing the Aussies in the T20 series was great. And I think they'll just carry on that form, and then head off to the UK in a few months, and hopefully bring home that World Test Championship.
Yeah, have we talked about that? We're going to play India, obviously, in the Test final. Looking forward to that. They have tried to pull a few tricks on us and say that we're going to take it to Southampton. Has that been confirmed yet?
I think it has, actually, yeah. Talk is it's going to be played at Hampshire's home ground, which I don't think is
make too much of a difference, will it?
It's still in English conditions, unless the Indian groundsman manages to get into the ground and just takes all the grass off the wicket.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them, to be fair. They bought a couple of extra mowers. Do you mind if we go out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, go the Black Caps, mate. The way we're playing at the moment, just the best time to be a New Zealand cricket team, and thank God for that, because all my other sporting teams are losing. So thank God I'm a Black Caps fan.
Talking about losing, what's happening in rugby league?
Cut it out. We're 1 from 2, mate. 1 from 2. Of course, the Warriors have had a couple of games in the NRL. It's great to have the league back, and we won our first game, a very impressive 19-6 winner over the Gold Coast Titans. I was very impressed by a couple of them. I thought Ewan Aitken played well, and Tohu Harris was just absolutely. He's just got energy unbounded, that man. He's just fantastic. Makes 1 million tackles a game and 1 million meters. But my player of the match in that first game was Adam Whanua-Blake, who made 202 meters, 94 post-contact meters, 5 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, and 22 tackles. He was just an absolute beast. And their forward pack of the Warriors went on a rumbling and really got the backs moving well, and we played really well in that first game. I was really, really happy.
In that game who proved a few people wrong, that was old Bunty Afoa. He had a game.
Bunty. He hadn't played for 573 days because of that awful injury. The Warriors actually offered him, they said, you can look around if you want, and he decided that he wanted to stay with the Warriors and prove his point, and I think he's done that. He's only 2 games into the season, and man, he's looking fit. I love Bunty Afoa. I just love the hair. It reminds me of the Hair Bears back in the day when we had Joe Nullivow and Tony Puliatua. But now I love me some Bunty Afoa. Played really, really well. Unfortunately, Ewan Aitken got injured in that game. He looks like he's out for 10 weeks. So we brought in Sate. I think he played really well in the second game. So obviously last week, talking of losing, we lost. Yes, we lost, Macca. We lost 16-20 to the Newcastle Knights. We were so in this game. It was basically one missed tackle. We were winning 16-14 with 5 minutes to go, and one missed tackle, busted through, scored the try. It's so typical of the Warriors. They get themselves into winning positions and then manage to almost defeat themselves. I thought they played okay. Our kicking game, for me, is the thing that's really been letting us down. Our halves, Chanel and Cody, are just not really providing the depth or the height, and just some of the technical kicking is missing. But if they tidy some of those sort of things up around the halves, I think we're in this competition. 90% completion rate again. We're playing quite a simple style, but we are pushing some offloads, which I love. And and once again, the referees, I'm not even going to get into the referees in the NRL. They always shaft us every bloody week, so I'm not going to get into that. But let's go into the results. Week 2, the Eels beat the Storm on Friday night. That was a massive result, 16-12. That was a great game of rugby league. It was almost Origin-esque. The Warriors lost to the Knights 16-20. We've covered that. The Titans beat the Broncos. Little brother beats up on the big brother 28-16. The Bulldogs were blanked 28-0 by the Panthers. That's the first time in history that one team has blanked teams 3 weeks in a row during the regular season. So the Panthers have blanked teams 3 weeks in a row. They are looking awesome, 28-0, unlike the poor old Bulldogs.
Now the Bulldogs are going to be holding up the competition again this year.
They are looking mud. They don't look good. I mean, there was so much talk about them early on. You know, Trent Barrett, and they've picked up some handy signings, but they haven't done anything. The Cowboys 18 lost to the Dragons 25. There was a fiery game, a few punch-ups during the game, and that was a bit of a upset. That one, the Dragons coming through 25-18. West Tigers got humped by the Roosters yesterday. The Roosters just looking amazing. Brett Morris, another hat trick. He started the season on fire, 40-6. And the Raiders just nipped the Sharks 12-10. And the Warriors have the Raiders next week. And that is going to be a tough game because the Raiders are in the top 4 at the moment. They're sitting 3rd. So Roosters, Panthers, Raiders, Knights, Eels, Sharks, Warriors, Rabbitohs. That's our top 8. So the Warriors in the top 8 at the moment in 7th position with 2 points after 2 competition games. It's our year. There you go.
We've talked about this before, but good old Cameron Smith, waits till the very last minute to announce he's retiring, just a few days before the new season starts. But selfish in my mind, and has the gloss been taken off rugby league's greatest player's career?
Yeah, I think so. I just cannot understand who is he doing this for? Not doing it for his coach, not doing it for this team. Oh, he's doing it for himself. That can be the only reason. I mean, surely, you know, so his team thought all year that they were going to have Cameron Smith at hooker, or might. So how are they planning for that? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Storm. I'm glad that they have to come up with some sort of solution. But yeah, man, just really, it's who are you? Whose interests are you serving? Yeah. It's just so selfish. I mean, why didn't you just retire at the end of the year? I mean, maybe he was looking at other options, but why did it take the week before the season starts?
Surely you'd know a week before the season starts whether you're playing or not.
Of course he knew. And speaking of hookers, mate, some sad news. Carl Lawton, who was the Warriors' second hooker, who's been injured for a little while, got granted a release from the Warriors. He's going to Manly to play for the Sea Eagles, which is quite interesting, really, because he was a really good player for us last year. It just got me thinking, we're letting him go, letting a little bit off the salary cap. We're obviously looking for someone else at hooker, and I just wonder whether the cheese will be coming. I hope Brandon Smith plays for the Warriors at some stage, mate.
Makes the Melbourne Storm. We're not saying that.
And the other thing, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I suppose he is playing hooker for the Melbourne Storm now. The other thing is the Warriors have just signed a fantastic and exciting new fullback to replace Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for next year. The guy's name is Reece Walsh. You might want to Google the guy. There's all sorts of stuff on YouTube with this guy. He is the step of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and the pace of someone really fast. He is... Honestly, he's an athlete. He went to Kebra Park High in Brisbane, same school that Benji Marshall went to. Just a fantastic looking player. Looks like a little bit like a young Greg Inglis to me. Phenomenal looking player. I mean, I know he's young. I don't want to talk him up too much, but I am. He's going to be a handful. Signed from 2022. So looking forward to seeing him in a Warriors jersey too.
Quite right. Yeah, I did see that signing during the week and did have a quick sneaky at this young fella. So yeah, exciting.
He looks talented. Yeah,
very exciting for Warriors fans. Yeah. Now, before we move on to rugby union, I've got something I must fess up to.
Okay, go on. Confessional.
During the Hot Air Sports podcast, our wonderful wives went and did a picking competition. Which won by Aaron's lovely wife, Charisse. On Saturday night before the Hurricanes versus Chiefs game, Michelle and I were at Sky Stadium, and Michelle suggested that I should open up the TAB account and put some money in there, and so we could both have a bet on the game. And
wow!
Michelle's from Waikato originally, so she said, I think the Chiefs are going to win, and I want you to put $10 on the Chiefs. So I said, yep, no worries. That's $10 we'll never get back. And I put $10 on the Hurricanes by 13 and over. And when the Hurricanes were leading 27-9 at halftime, I was just, giving sideways glances saying, how are you feeling about that pick, love? And she's half a game to go. And so there you go. Michelle got one over me on Saturday night at Sky Stadium. So congratulations to Michelle. And we might just have to get that picking competition up and running again in coming weeks.
Well done, Michelle. Well done, Michelle. It was a game of two halves, and you won the second half, and that's all that matters.
Ooh, what a game it was. I'll get onto that in a minute. Because, of course, first, we need to talk about the mighty Crusaders. How Crusaders were they yesterday against the Blues? 43-27 at Eden Park. It was the big clash. It had been cancelled twice. Auckland fans were baying for Crusaders' blood. But
we're offside all day. Send them all to the bin.
But somebody called Richie Mo'onga just guided the Crusaders ship around the park.
Another bloody Richie. They should ban Richies in Canterbury. They shouldn't allow it as a name down there.
Quite right. So I've got a question. Do you think the Crusaders will be beaten this season?
No. Move on. No, they just look too bloody good. They could beat most international sides. They're just a phenomenal side. I mean, they just don't do things wrong. They've got their set pieces nailed. They're just so well coached. They got Will Jordan. They're just so good. I mean, you looked at the Blues side when you matched up the teams. You thought, man, the Blues have got a chance here. They got some real good players, but once again, they're more individuals. It just seems like the Crusaders they're just more of a team. They're just so well drilled. Just so well drilled. And yes, they're offside all the time, and they make me so frustrated. When we scored I think it was our second try yesterday, man, there was like 5 advantages, and the Crusaders are just taking the piss. I was like, the referee, honestly, after we scored the try, should have sent a couple of you guys to the bin. They were just so offside. I was like, no wonder, when opposition teams watch the All Blacks, and we play that sort of right on the edge style as well. It must you can see why they get so frustrated, because they just take it to the limit, but just to the limit, No, you gotta just say they're so good. They're such a good side.
Anyway, getting back to Saturday night's game, the Chiefs finally get their very first win in Super Rugby Aotearoa. A huge halftime deficit to beat the Canes, 35-29. Great game to watch. I mean, purely I'm a Crusaders fan, so as a neutral, it was just a great game to watch. You love games like that. There were end-to-end tries. Basically everything that you can get at a rugby game, you got in that game. The Chiefs had lost every game last season and were 0 for 2 leading up to Saturday's game. So well done to Clayton McMillan and the interim Chiefs coach until Warren Gatland comes back next year. So he's done a good job with the Chiefs. Brad Weber and Luke Jacobson, I thought, were outstanding for the Chiefs. But Damian McKenzie, boy, did he silence a few critics, especially in the second half. Just absolutely running the show for 40 after being reasonably quiet in the first half.
Running the show at first 5 too, which is interesting. I mean, they said he was going to play fullback.
Well, he was wearing the number 15, but
he's one of those players, man. He's one of those players, that just people love him or hate him, don't they? They just say, nah, he's no good for the All Blacks, or yep, he's definitely in. For me, he's a perfect guy off the bench, don't you think? For the All Blacks, he's the guy to bring on with 20 minutes to go when you need to score a try. I mean, he's just the perfect guy.
Yeah, last year I was a bit disappointed with him last year, and I didn't really. Well, neither of us picked him in the All Blacks.
No, we didn't.
And I thought after sustaining that ACL injury the year before, I thought he'd lost a yard at pace.
Yeah, so did I.
Got it back. After watching him on Saturday night, boy, he was stepping and just at top speed.
the guy has to be the most elusive guy in world rugby. I mean, he's just so little. You think he's gonna get smashed every time. You think, what are you doing running into those guys? And then he just sort of seems to wiggle his way out. He's just a phenomenal runner, isn't he? Just so light on his feet. And I do worry for him though sometimes. I just think, mate, you are gonna get snapped in half. But he's durable too.
One thing that's become glaringly obvious at the Hurricanes is they are desperately missing TJ Perenara.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably Otiri Black as well, mate. They need a first five as well. I mean,
well, I didn't think I thought Auburn Ledger wasn't too bad on Saturday, but he's he's a bit one-dimensional. Only really does one thing well. And so
you're not going to win too many games of Super Rugby with an average first five, though, are you? Especially when you have an even less average halfback. I mean,
as well as Otiri Black is playing for the Blues, I think they're probably lacking a decent halfback.
Actually,
and Christie, they're not.
I thought Christie played well when he came. Christie played well when he came on yesterday. I think he gave us a little spark. I would have actually started with him, but what do I know?
Yes. Anyway, our old favourite, the refereeing's in the spotlight again. I thought Paul Williams was poor yesterday, leaving a few spectators scratching their heads with the whistle. I thought he was very inconsistent. At one stage early in the game, the Blues won a scrum over the Crusaders, and I can't remember who it was, stood up and gave one of the Crusaders over.
Yeah, just ruffled him on the head or something.
Yeah, 5 minutes later, Cody Taylor does exactly the same thing, and the penalty's
and he reverses the penalty. I know.
And
there was some other stuff like that too that he let go. There was one where he just blatantly missed a knock on, and then we went down there. We were 40 meters behind the advantage, and he just seemed to forget it. I don't know. He can be good. That's the thing, though. He tends to be either really good or not good. Yeah. He doesn't really. He's not consistent. He just seems to. I don't know what's going on with the refereeing.
Yep. And the other one that left me aghast was how Blues hooker Kurt Eklund didn't get carded for backflipping Sevu Reece.
That was weird. We had the Blues had the penalty. It was a dumb move.
It wasn't a penalty, though.
But he'd given the penalty. He'd blown his whistle. Yeah, I know. He'd blown his whistle, though, so the play should have stopped. Yeah. So it was actually after the whistle had blown. Yeah. So it was just a brain explosion. But then they actually went upstairs, and he asked what he thought, and then it came back down, and he said, "Well, he flipped him over, so it's an active foul play." And then the referee said, "Well, this is what I think. I think it's just a penalty. You confer? You confer? All right, I'll go with that." And it was sort of like. Yeah, I don't know how you don't get sent to the bin for that one. It's a strange one. I mean, it was a brain explosion.
Oh, I know.
By both the player and the official.
Both, who was it? Our good friend Justin Marshall and Tony Johnson both agreed that Sevu Reece's attempt for the ball wasn't a penalty. He didn't tackle the player in the air. He was going for the ball. His eyes were on the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, there were another few of those. But anyway, I think the biggest thing that's frustrating me at the moment is yet another new breakdown law. It just seems to be causing more confusion, and yet another instance of somebody behind a desk in Wellington thinking they can make the game better.
Yep, less rules, not more. I mean, that's why do you need more rules at the breakdown? I mean, you've got 1,000,001 things you can blow a penalty for. Let's give them 1,000,002. Yeah, let's give them another reason. It's just. Get the game flowing. I mean, when the game of rugby is flowing, and the referee is basically keeping his beak out of it, it's perhaps the best game to watch of all sports. But when it's not, it's perhaps the worst.
This stupid new rule they've got is as long as the player's over the ball, and standing, he doesn't actually have his hands on the ball.
No.
So how is he trying to turn over possession if he hasn't got his hands on the ball?
Yeah, no idea.
So how can you? Yeah,
Mate, I've stopped trying to work out what they're trying to get at. I don't even know what they're trying to get at. What are they? I mean, I guess they're trying to make it faster. I mean, but what you're doing is allowing the ref to blow more penalties. Yeah. You're not making the game faster. You're making it stop. So once again, mate, people get paid larger salaries than ours to come up with the solutions for these. And
quite right. Go back to the 60s and 70s when you could actually ruck players out of the way.
Absolutely. Let the players take control.
If you're lying on the ball, you're going to get sprig marks down your back, son.
You're going to be in a hot bath at the end of the night and hurting like hell, aren't you? Yeah,
quite right. Yeah, anyway, a bit of a surprise over in Australia. The Reds are leading the competition at the halfway stage of the aptly named Super Rugby Australia. Brad Thorne's side are unbeaten at the halfway stage, beating the Brumbies last week and disposing of the Western Force over the weekend. Reds lead by 3 points over the Brumbies, with Rebels a further 5 back, with the Force ahead of the winless Waratahs. We talked about the Waratahs after 2 games, and they're not getting any better.
No surprises to see a Kiwi coaching the leading side in Australian Super Rugby.
Well, unfortunately, it's a Kiwi coaching the worst side in Australian rugby at the moment as well.
Yeah, we don't mention that, though.
No, we don't mention that.
We got coaches everywhere, Macca, so long as we're at the top.
Quite right. And now there's apparently going to be an announcement this afternoon about a Trans-Tasman bubble. So we might see some Trans-Tasman Super Rugby in a couple of months' time. We can only
that'd be nice.
Would be nice. But otherwise, if they don't get that Trans-Tasman competition going, which was so well publicised when the 2 CEOs of the rugby competitions
held hands and skipped down the beach,
down Bondi Beach.
Maybe we could get the Reds in the Super Rugby Aotearoa, and we could swap them for the Chiefs. Or no, maybe swap them for the Hurricanes. Swap them for the Hurricanes. They're at the bottom now, aren't they?
I think they might.
Them are the Highlanders. I think the Highlanders are playing the Hurricanes this week. So whoever loses that one, chuck them in Australia and get the Reds over here.
Yeah, that's a couple of weeks away yet.
Is it? Answer the desperates.
I don't know if you caught it on Sky Sport 1 this morning, but Major League Rugby is under.
Major League Rugby! It's here! Been looking forward to it.
This morning's game was between Nola Gold, or New Orleans for the uninitiated, against Old Glory from Washington.
The Old Glory.
Other teams include the Austin Gilgronis, whatever that is.
The Old Glory Hole would be the...
Houston Sabercats.
The what? Sabercat? What even is a Sabercat?
Seattle Seawolves and the
Seawolves?
Arrows.
Wolves don't go in the sea. What are you talking about?
And there's a couple of former All Blacks playing in that competition.
Oh, is it?
Nonu is playing for the San Diego Legion.
Of course he is. He's 55, still going strong.
And Rugby United New York have former Crusaders and All Blacks halfback Andy Ellis in their team. Major League Rugby.
That's great. I think it's great. It's great to see.
It was on this morning on Sky Sport. I watched about 10 minutes. And actually, the standard wasn't too bad. But, it'll be interesting to see if that takes off. But
just the names of the
side, I'm starting to get excited, Aaron. I'm starting to get
excited. It's a baseball season.
Just over a week now till Major League Baseball gets underway, with teams to the stage of finalising their 26-man rosters for opening day on the 1st of April. Can't wait.
April Fool's Day. I'll make sure I wear my Boston Red Sox hat next week. Okay? Just to piss you off.
Yes, quite right. And with 10 days to go, the Yankees and the Kansas City Royals have the best exhibition records, which mean absolutely nothing. As managers are more concerned about performance at this stage and ensuring starting pitchers build up to throw their 6 or 7 innings and get regular rest, while hitters get plenty of at-bats to get into their stride. And some of the big names are starting to show out in the respective grapefruit and pineapple leagues over in Florida and Arizona. So interesting
So
as the season gets a wee bit closer. And
so who are the Yankees got first up, Macca?
We're got a home series against Toronto Blue Jays, so that'll be an interesting series. I'm picking the Yankees and the Blue Jays to have a bit of a battle for that division this year. So
Nice.
Yeah, good to get Toronto first up. So they'll be an interesting series.
Have you caught any of the spring training? Any of the early games?
I've been interested to catch a couple of our starting pitchers doing their stuff. Garrett Cole is the main stud for the Yankees, and I've enjoyed. He pitched 5 innings this morning, actually, which was the longest amount of innings he's thrown in spring training. So he's building up to regular season form. And also a couple of new pitchers for the Yankees this season with Corey Kluber and Jamison Tyone both signing in the off season. So looking forward to seeing them. Neither of them have pitched much over the last 2 seasons due to injuries, and Tyone had the infamous Tommy John surgery with the ligament in the elbow. So, yeah, interesting to see. Aaron Judge has hit a couple of home runs already. And
that's a surprise.
Yeah. And Yankees will be hoping
what he does.
And Giancarlo Stanton, the 2 big boppers, can stay fit this year. It would actually be really good to see them play most of the season. I think they're going to restrict Stanton to just designated hitter duties, so he won't have to play in the outfield.
And of course, it's a full season this year, isn't it?
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well underway with their vaccination program over there. So he is hoping they can get a full season in, and they're talking about having some fans in the stands. New York governor has said that Citi Field, the Mets' home ground, and Yankee Stadium can have 20% capacity.
Great.
But good old Texas Rangers will be opening up their season with
100%
capacity.
Of course they will. Corona doesn't come to Texas.
No, quite right.
No, they prefer other drinks in Texas.
Yeah. But I did notice they did say that masks will be compulsory.
Oh, okay. Catcher's masks, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Oh, well, roll on the baseball season, mate. Hey, must be getting back to normal, must we? Hey, must be getting back to normal. And speaking of getting back to normal, mate, the America's Cup is still New Zealand's cup. Of course, New Zealand did the business over Jimmy Spittle's Luna Rossa Prada. They won the series 7-3. Well done to Peter Burling and the crew. It was a hell of an event up here, actually. Lots of people out and about. Of course, they won it on St. Patty's Day as well. So down at the Viaduct, it was a big party scene. Of course, you and I weren't really jumping on the bandwagon, but then when the America's Cup comes around, it's hard not to watch, isn't it, and get caught up in it. The first couple of races were a little bit, but when it got going, mate, it was good to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, I enjoyed, and it was the thing that I enjoyed the most about it was the races. Most of the races that I saw, it wasn't the person first over the start line that ended up winning the race. There was
that's what I'm saying. Absolutely,
especially in those last few races. I mean, in that last race, even Luna Rossa got off to a good start, but midway through the first leg, New Zealand took over, and that was it. All she wrote. And the day before.
The race 5, I think it was, wasn't it? The one where,
unbelievable, where we
were nearly 2 kilometers behind.
We blew it, absolutely. And then down the bottom at the other end, they blew it. And blew it big.
They couldn't get back up on their foils. And that was a phenomenal race. I know a lot of people just walked away, and I mean, it was hard. You were just like, we're gone here. We're gone. But nah, mate, it was good sport in the end, wasn't it? Once again, though, not enough teams. I still don't think there's enough teams involved. I mean, that's the thing. If they had had more teams, there would have been more design variants. It just would have been more interesting, more countries involved. I recently watched the America's Cup doco on TVNZ On Demand. That's well worth a watch, especially when it takes you back to the Plastic Fantastics and all the other type. You know, like we say, we missed that old style sort of Jeopardy yacht racing when they're bobbing up and down. There's a guy at the front and a guy at the sail, and it's dangerous. And I love that old style racing. Yeah, it was. And early on,
the commentators saying that this was the best America's Cup series ever. It's a bit like the old head of the IOC at the end of every Olympics.
Every Olympics.
Olympics ever.
I know. They say that every time.
Those races that you just talked about, they were just outstanding watching.
I know. And also the fact that there were so many teams. We had to beat so many teams. We didn't even race for the America's Cup for the first time until 1995. So we spent about 4 challenges. We never even got to the America's Cup. But it was the journey was what it was all about. It was a really good doco. So I urge
about those old ones too, where they didn't have all the graphics, and so you'd think you were miles behind. And then suddenly, New Zealand have turned first around the top mark.
There's big separation. Exactly. It was a different sport. Now, everyone's so trim and taut and everything. You don't get a fat Dennis Conner sitting off the back drinking a beer, do you? I liked it when
I did laugh.
The 17th man. Even you or I could do that, John.
The day after it, when there was a sensationalist headline from News Hub the day after the win with "World Media Reacts to Team New Zealand's Old Mug Victory." I had a look at the story. There were stories, 2 writers from the same publication in Italy, while the rest were all sailing magazines or blogs.
So
the World Media Reacts,
not World Media, yachting media, and in the same nation that's competing.
I did some research of myself, and I actually found there was a story on the New York Times.
I saw that one, but that was about the helicopter pilot.
No, there was actually a story on the
was there on the America's Cup?
Yeah, and there were stories in the LA Times, the Independent, the Guardian, and on BBC and on CNN. So, News Hub, do a bit more research before you burst into print.
And all they did was probably mention New Zealand's won the America's Cup. That was probably, maybe
they weren't big in-depth stories.
They weren't. And most of the people reading those articles would have gone, was that on?
Is that what happened to the America's Cup?
I didn't know that was even on. That's the first I've read of it.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been in the media worldwide. But oh my God, it looked fantastic though, didn't it? It looked amazing on the telly. I mean, with those those helicopter shots. What a fantastic event, and it did showcase our country. And but will it be in New Zealand next year? Or next time?
Yeah, they're talking.
What do you think?
I mean, Grant and Dalton has confirmed the rumours that the Poms want to have a one-on-one series in the UK next year. So whether that
we'll have it at Lord's.
Yeah. Have a curtain raiser to the World Cricket Championship.
Yeah, fill up Lord's. We'll have it at Lord's, and if it's a tie, how do we decide it?
The biggest sales.
Either way, it's going to be a countback of some description. That wouldn't be bad. But how can you just say 1-on-1? What's the story with that? Surely you want other teams.
It's the big boat versus the catamaran scenario, I guess.
They're selling it. What? We're selling a cat. They're selling a dog.
But anyway, I jumped aboard the bandwagon. Go Team New Zealand in the end. When it gets to the America's Cup, it is good to watch. So there you
go. Finishing off on a sad note, a few rest in pieces this week, and it's go. Rest in peace.
Go.
Formula One commentator Murray Walker, well known for his Murrayisms, a bit like the old Yogi-isms from Yogi Berra. Like, oh no, the Ferrari's on fire, with James Hunt replying, actually, Murray, it's just the red light at the back of the car.
There's a whole bunch of them, eh?
Another one that stood out to me was the car looks in great condition apart from the fact it's on fire.
I remember he used to have a love affair with Damon Hill as well. Damon! He used to almost cry when he crashed out
in the World Championship. He said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be a bit quiet now. I'm getting a bit emotional."
Yeah, he was a great commentator. He was great for all his foibles. So the thing is that Murray Walker had, and what every great sports commentator had, regardless of whether they make mistakes or not, is he just had the passion, and it just oozed out of every pore. You could just you could just, he just was like, oh, I'm so excited. You just knew he was just excited. And it just,
it's the life that PJ Montgomery brings to yachting.
Absolutely. You're 100% right.
Bring to bowls, it's
absolutely
those guys that are absolutely passionate about their sport and bring it to life on the screen. And I mean, the 12th man took off Murray Walker. This is so boring. These cars are just going round and round.
Round and round and round.
But no,
Murray Walker.
Rest in peace, Murray Walker. He was 97.
Wow, good innings. Yes. And also rest in peace, marvelous Marvin Hagler. What a fighter this man was. Middleweight boxer, some tremendous battles with people like Tommy the Hitman Hearns and, of course, Sugar Ray Leonard. What a fighter this man was, Macca. He was only 66 years old when he passed away last week. Very sad.
Yes, and rest in peace, hotshot, former Leeds United and Scotland striker Peter Lorimer, who passed away after a long illness, aged 72. Lorimer was part of the great Leeds side of the late 60s and early 70s under legendary manager Don Revie. It's been a horrid last 12 months for Leeds fans, losing fellow greats in Jack Charlton, Trevor Cherry and Norman Hunter. And I'll tell you what, Aaron, I don't know if you probably wouldn't remember this great Leeds side, but in the early 70s, they were almost unstoppable, winning trophy after trophy. And the sad thing about it is Lorimer will probably be most remembered for a goal he didn't score. He absolutely smashed the ball goalwards from close range, only to be miraculously saved by Sunderland goalkeeper Jim Montgomery in the 1973 FA Cup final. That's still rated as one of the greatest saves ever seen on a football field. Lorimer was only about 5 yards out, and it just sat up for him perfectly, and he volleyed it. And Lorimer could hit a ball, could hit it. And Montgomery just managed to get in the way of it. And
phenomenal.
And of course, Sunderland. It was Sunderland beating Leeds in that 73 Cup final was a bit like
Wimbledon beating Liverpool.
Well, yeah, Reading beat Manchester City now.
Yeah. No, very sad. I don't remember a lot of it. What I do remember about the Leeds side of the early 70s is I love the movie The Damn United.
Yeah.
So, Brian Clough, when he came in, and Don Revie, and all the drama between the two of them and the players and all that sort of thing. But we've won a championship, Gaffer, but you haven't won a championship fairly, have you? It's like, so yeah, that's what I and then I did a little bit of research and a little bit of on the Leeds United side. They weren't just hard boffin boys who used to just kick the shit out of everyone, because that was sort of what Brian Clough sort of intimated, didn't he? He sort of said, you're just a bunch of bullies. No, they were a great side, and he'll be sorely missed, man. It's just sad. So many footballers passing away recently. Just so many great players, and very, very sad, mate. Very, very sad. Rest in peace. So
it brings to an end another episode of the Hot Air Sports Pass. I'll put my tongue out. The Hot Air Sports Podcast.
Well, you can call us what you want, though. We don't mind.
Quite right. You can watch us now you can watch us on YouTube, and you can also listen to us on Spotify.
Woo!
The wonderful technical world. So, hook us up on either YouTube or Spotify, and we'll look forward to talking more sport in a week or so's time.
Absolutely. Drop us a like, make us a comment, and we'll comment back at you as well. If you're a keen watcher of the Hot Air Sports Podcast, we don't mind. If it's abuse you want to give us, we can give it back. Just
abuse away.
Please do. Well, until then, though, we'll catch you next time. It's goodbye from him.
And it's a good night from him.